Muhammad Nasir Ishaq is the name. I'm the CEO and also the founder of Science Village Gombe. I'm currently the Deputy Provost of College of Nursing and Midwifery Gombe. I'm also the State Chairman of Islamic Medical Association of Nigeria. Actually, it's not lack of ideas that is making us to suffer in this country. We have ample of ideas. In my own impression, it is the attitude of Nigerians that is making Nigerians not to move forward or making the country not to move forward. And part of what we have to solve is our attitude. God willing, we shall be discussing the essence of energy in economic development in a way. Also the significance of internally generated revenue. Because like what I heard you saying, you want to support SMEs, if I'm right. The whole country is working on the phenomenon of support. Federal government being supported by development partners, state governments being supported by the federal government and also some development partners, local government being supported by the state, and so many support here and there, yet nothing is coming out of it. Simply because we believe in being supported. If you know about the Mbisa Moyo's book, Dead End, she's talking about support. That is the main reason why Africa will never develop, is that because we are being supported. And we are being supported money-wise. Good to be giving us skills. Give me the skills. Don't give me any money. Give me the skills. Allow me to create the money. Let me generate the wealth. And so we are going to discuss that and see how we can live, how we can survive, how we can thrive without being supported. And it's part of what is needed to be changed in this country for us to move forward. And maybe there's some business ideas, some examples. Most of my examples will be in ICT, in agriculture, maybe science and technology. There could be ample examples out there that I did not mention. So I'm not in any way deceiving myself that I will give you all the ideas. There are ample ideas out there. And finally, we shall discuss commercialization of natural resources. So these are my objectives of this presentation, or let me say this discussion. I'm still emphasizing the need for participation. I will not stand here and just be telling you. It can't be a one-way traffic. If it is one-way traffic, then it is not learning. So please feel free to raise your hand and say, okay, I want to contribute. I disagree with this. I believe in otherwise, and so on. So feel free, please. We are all one. Let's start with energy. What I mean by energy is actually electricity. Don't be surprised before I finish my presentation, the power will be off. And energy is actually the fundamental ingredient for development. Lack of electricity in this country is contributing, in my own personal opinion, if not up to 50% of our poverty, is about 50. If you look at it very well, there is no sector in this country that do not need electricity. Even if you are on the farm, maybe doing irrigation, in the remotest village, you need power for your irrigation to happen. You need power to process and to preserve your farm produce, and so on. In the last 20 years, or even more than 20 years, the African Union has been dreaming of getting a reliable source of energy. And the African Union, the African Development Bank, the World Bank, and every other person across the globe holistically believe that if we can have the River Congo, we can build a dam on the River Congo, a hydroelectric power on the River Congo that is at the central of Africa. that dam is enough to generate electricity, the cheapest electricity in the entire world, cheapest for the entire African continent. Yet, African governments, respective governments, and the African Union as a whole, the African Development Bank, and the World Bank, everyone is waiting for the other to start. Also, the issue of Lake Chad. I don't know whether, maybe some of you have been to the Lake Chad. It's close to us here, but I've not had opportunity to go to Lake Chad. I tried to go to all the lakes that are existing in Africa. I was able to go to Lake Tanganyika in, where? In Bujumbura. No, Lake Tanganyika in Bujumbura. That is Burundi. Yeah, I was able to go there and observe all the, because it's in between Congo, DR Congo and Burundi. If you are the other one, you will be seeing the rooftop of some settlements across DR Congo. I also visited Lake Victoria. It's also another very big lake that is supplying part of the river Nile. But I was not able to go to the one that is closest to me. These are the three biggest lakes in African continent. But also the African Union is also dreaming of drenching the river Congo and supplying it to Lake Chad. You will be surprised to hear that this is Gombe, Abi. You will be surprised to hear that some 100 years ago, even Bajoga was inside the Lake Chad. Even Bajoga here. From Bajoga, Ashaka, Maiduguri city, and all these parts are actually part of Lake Chad. It was shrinking and shrinking and shrinking until it left the entire Nigerian territory. Now it is at the other end, and it continued to shrink. But it's also believed wholeheartedly that if we can bring back this lake, it's also one of the fundamental things Africa as a continent can do to revive our economy and set the agenda for the African development. You will be so shocked to hear that the African Union is only looking for $2 billion, only $2 billion to do this project. Now I ask a question. Look at the Renaissance Dam that is recently built by the Ethiopian government on River Nile. How many billions of dollars were spent to do that? Look at the railway project that is being done across Nigeria, from Lagos to Kano, from Maiduguri to Port Harcourt. How many billions of dollars are being used to do this work? Are we really looking for development of Africa, or are we looking for our respective destinations that we cannot go anywhere? Are we thinking Africa, or are we thinking our country? So if governments around the country, around the continent, one government can do from $2 to $10 billion project, another government can do, for heaven's sake, who are you waiting for? Will the World Bank ever fund this project for you to move forward? Of course, it's only we, the Africans, that can do this. Now, these are two essential projects that can give us energy for the entire Africa. I'm not talking about Nigeria alone. Remember the river Niger, where the Kainji Dam is built. It's built by Tafawa Balewa, Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, over a period of 2 years with only 1 million naira. Tafawa Balewa built that dam with only 1 million naira over a period of 2 years. How long did it take us building the Dadinkowa Dam? It was started in the 1980s or earlier than 80s. Till today, it is not finished. The Mambila Dam, when was this started? Till tomorrow, it is still a project that is ongoing. If Tafa, and you know Kainji Dam is, I think we cannot build a dam like that now. So it was built in 2 years by Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa. During the course of building that dam, can you see what I tell you? During the course of building that dam, Niger Republic, that was during, what is this guy? Hamani Jori. They raised an objection to the building of the dam just like it is now happening between Ethiopia, Sudan, and Egypt. And Niger said, you know, River Niger came from Guinea, across Mali, across Niger, then into Nigeria. So now Niger Republic said they also want to construct a similar dam for the electricity of their country. And now Tafawa Balewa, visionary enough, unlike the present crop of leaders that we see, people are trying to go into war because of between Ethiopia and Egypt. Tafawa Balewa said, you are building the dam because of electricity in Niger, I think it's a simple issue. Let's build one dam that can suffice everyone. And now Ahmadinejad accepted, and this is one of the reasons why sometimes we hear Nigerians complaining we do not have enough electricity and we are supplying Niger Republic and even Burkina Faso. You have to do that because they own it. If they build their dam, Nigeria can never have this dam. So Tafawa Balewa's argument was Nigeria is bigger in population and we have the capacity to supply Nigeria and Niger. So allow us to do the dam so that we give you the electricity while we have our own. Of course, Niger cannot have a dam and supply the whole of Nigeria with electricity. This is very logical. So that was why it was built. Maybe someone need to help us get this projector back. The power is back. So this is a preamble I'm making to show you that without energy, if we can have 1,000 ideas, they will not work the way we want them to work. We have to have energy. Whatever research, where are the university professors? Whatever research we can do to get a reliable energy, we have to do that. Otherwise, we will never, ever get it right in this country. And still talking about energy, maybe some of you might have heard about Austin. Austin is the biggest city in the state of Texas, United States of America. They have a public company that is called Austin Energy. Austin Energy supplies power for the city of Texas, Austin, and the neighboring settlements. They also manage the waste of the entire state, as well as supply water. But you know what? It's unlike our water corporations, or unlike our power company, that every budget, I can remember trillions of dollars that is given to this, what do you call it, power holding company, since during Obasanjo until today. Austin Energy, the revenue it generates, it's managed itself, but then also it is the one that is actually financing the state police of the state of Texas, financing the fire service of the state of Texas, also financing the emergency medical services. All the ambulances that are on every highway are actually managed by Austin Energy. They are not only managed but funded. Everything that they need is done by Austin Energy. So it is a lie for one to say that the power company of this country or the water company of any state across this country will have to be funded by government. They have the wherewithal to get their revenue, and not only the revenue that will manage themselves, rather they can also contribute to the state purse. If you look, I make simple analysis of what Austin Energy is doing, and maybe try to contextualize this to our own context. Let's look at this. Let's look at power. How much are you paying? I didn't hear your name, my sister. What's your name? Aisha Muhammad. Do you pay NEPA bill? You're under care. Okay, who pays NEPA bill? Okay, what's your name? Abubakar Yero. How much did you pay last?
2,000.
2,000. Okay, fine. Anyone that paid more than that? How much? 4,000. Okay? Yes, sister?
10,000.
You paid 10,000. You have a big company? Okay, so now I want us to just make a simple calculation here. We are discussing generating ideas, so we can maybe translate these ideas or transmit these ideas elsewhere that they will work. Both water and power. Now, how many population do we have in Gombe? The last literature I read was 3.5 something million, isn't it? Now just make a simple arithmetic. This 3.5 million, let's assume we are 3 million only. Let's assume we are 3 million only. Can you imagine how many households 3 million can have? If you make an average of maybe every household will have 10 families. Because some families are bigger, others are smaller. Maybe take the average of 10 members per family. If you calculate, maybe divide this 3 million by 10, you will have 3,000 households. 300,000, thank you. 300, okay, let's have the calculator, either the brain or the artificial calculator. 300,000 households, isn't it? Okay, let's just imagine someone paid 10,000, another person paid 2,000, another person paid 3,000. Let's take the average. Maybe let's assume that every house will only pay 3,000. Can you give us the figures, please? 3,000 and 300,000. Huh?
900 million.
Is it correct? It should be 9 million. Is it 9 million or 90 million?
900,000. 900 million, sorry.
Let us have the accurate calculator, please. 3,000 times 300,000. 90 million, I guess.
900 million.
900 million. The figures are frightening. So it's 900 million, isn't it? Okay, fine. If it is 900 million, this is a revenue for 1 month times 12.
10 billion, 800 million.
10 billion. Let's allow the 800 million to go maybe away. 10 billion, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, this 10 billion, let's say for power, and also another 10 billion for water. How many billions? How much is the revenue for the state that we get from the federal government a month?
Highest 2 billion.
Highest 2 billion. It's more than 2 billion. 4 billion. Let's assume we are getting 4 billion, consecutively 4 billion. It means we are getting 40 billion or 48 billion a year, isn't it? Now our water and our power can give us half of that revenue. It can give us half of that revenue. Can we ask the federal government to go to hell? Because we can get the remaining 20 billion around. Do you see this? Do you see this? Do you see how much resources we are wasting? But let's also make a simple calculation here. I'm seeing you discussing. Tell us what you are discussing. Let's make a simple calculation here. If there is no water in the whole city of Gombe, that you have to buy water from the tanks. On the average, you buy water for how much in a day?
200 at least.
200 at least.
10 jerrycans.
Yeah, 200 at least. That is the smallest house, isn't it? But the biggest one will buy maybe like 1,000. So let's just elevate your payment to maybe 300. Let's say on the average, all of these families, 300,000 families will pay 300 naira every day times 30 is 6,000. Times 30 is 6,000. You remember why we are doing the calculation for power? We are saying that every month you will pay 3,000, isn't it? Now we've found that families can pay up to 6,000 a month for water. If you are to buy, the minimum you will spend is 6,000 naira a month. Now 6,000 times 300,000 families times 12. How much is it? How much is it? We are talking about revenue generation now. How we can move forward. So with all these ample opportunities, no single person in the arena of government is thinking towards self-reliance and self-dependence and whatever you call it. We are always crying, federal government, give us money. They have to give us money. Even after they have given us, they have to bail us out. Even after that, they have to give us loan. Even after that, we have to go to the World Bank and some other development partners to give us loan, Paris Club and so on. Meanwhile, we have all the resources that we need to move forward. Okay, let me also give you some additional examples. I hope I'm not terrorizing your thinking. Now, Madam, naga kin yi haka, what is the problem? Okay, now let's look at this. I'm giving you some examples. Kampala City Municipal Authority. The city takes care of itself. How? First of all, the water supply of the city. If you are paying, like we said, 300 naira average. If you are paying 300 naira for water supply, every household has a meter. So it's according to your meter. Now, when you come to pay, it is going to be ×2. Why? Because the sewage system of the entire city is also managed by the water corporation. So you pay for water that we gave you, and the equivalent of your water consumption is the equivalent of your sewage product. So you pay for that. So if you are paying 300 naira, it means you are paying 600 naira to the municipal authority simply because they manage the sewage. Now, if you go to Gombe City, you will find that maybe the most beautiful house in your neighborhood will only have water outlets on the street, and you will see everywhere a gutter simply because no one cares. For them, they will not allow you to have this type of gutter on the street, no matter how small the street is. It has to be managed. So even by the city plan, there are tunnels underground that are meant to manage the sewage. And from every house, the sewage runs to the underground tunnel, so you have to pay for that. If the government has maybe taken a loan from any bank to do this, obviously we have to pay, and we have to pay back and also get revenue that will maintain the city. They also use a lot of opportunity in buses and car parking stand. For instance, like the new car park here that is built close to the FCE. If it is the Kampala City Municipal, they will come and make the car stands, taps everywhere, tiles. Now, if you have a car that is running from Gombe to Bauchi, and you come to Tashan Bauchi to be taken, you will not be coming to the gates of the park to be paying 50 naira and collect receipts. No. If you are a registered transport owner, you will have to go to the municipal authority to buy a license that will allow you to do that. So you pay for the year. If you are paying in January, obviously every January you have to pay, and they calculate they are higher for the car stand. If you have 10 cars, you have to pay for your 10 cars or 10 buses. If you have one, you pay for one. But obviously the money that they get from this thing will not go to anybody's pocket. You will not come to the gate and negotiate and say, I don't have money, and the person allows you in. In fact, it's automated. So they have the register of every car owner that is doing any transport system, and you have to pay at the beginning of the year. But what stops Gombe State, for instance, from doing this thing? For heaven's sake, what is that thing that is stopping us from moving forward? Now look at car parking also on the street, like in Kigali. All these things, I saw them practically. In Kigali, when I started seeing it, I went to the Access Bank, and it was raining. So after I finished my transaction, and I was waiting for the rain to maybe subside, and I go my way, I saw a young girl with her umbrella. She was standing in front of the bank, and all the cars that are parked there, after every 30 minutes, she will go and put a stamp. After every 30 minutes, she will go and put a stamp. You know what that means? The parking space is for sale. So if you parked, you are only have the liberty to park and pay for 30 minutes. After every 30 minutes, your revenue accrued. And when you come to take your car, you will only look at your screen and see how many stamps you have, and you know the money. And you have to pay her before you move. If you refuse to pay, then your money is going to multiply by 10 by the time you go to the authorities. And they have the registration of everyone. They know everyone, including your phone number and so on. In Aga Khan Hospital, this is in Nairobi, at the gate when you are coming, whether you are coming as a patient relative or whatever, or you come to visit, at the gate, there is no human being. It's just a machine. You will come and press, and the machine will raise the bar. But it will count the time that you are coming in. If you are coming out, it knows how many hours you spend. And every 30 minutes is calculating. So by the time you are coming out, you also know that the time you walk into the hospital. And you know that the other gate out will never allow you out without scanning your receipt that you paid at the ATM. Otherwise, the machine will never open. So this money that they put together, the hospital is a very expensive hospital. So this money that they take from, if you have a car, you are rich. If you don't have a car, then, but people come to the hospital that they do not have enough money to pay for their surgeries. And it is this money that is recycled to take care of the poor. So they are taking from the rich and giving it to the poor. It's not for the management of the hospital. Now ask yourself, how many millions will the teaching hospital, federal teaching hospital, can get in a year if they are to apply this thing? And will you have patients that will be dying because of lack of 1,000 naira to buy one drug or the other? Even the social welfare, that they are always poor. Every time the word in their mouth is there is no money. The money is there. It's we that refuse to get the money. Now, when you do that system in the federal teaching hospital, one, you are going to reduce the traffic that are going to the hospital, because if you don't have the money, you'll not take your car there. And then maybe the money that they get from there, and you see what we do, even they give you tallies. How much did they spend to get the tally? And they take care of your car, the security of the place. Who pays the security? The hospital pays. While the citizens are just enjoying, they have enough money without knowing what to do with it. You can see how revenue can change. Now, business certification and registration is also another thing. All the businesses that are proliferating, the SMEs you are going to support, how much are they paying for registration? Now, the city municipal will make sure that you have a registration, and you cannot just come to register. You have to be mentored. You have to work as an apprentice in any company. You have to get a certificate that you've worked under someone. For instance, if I want to establish a salon, I have to work at least for 1 year in one established salon that is licensed by the authorities, and the owner of that salon has to give me a certificate of graduation. That certificate is what I will use to register my own premises. I went to Abuja one day in one of the barber's shop. To my surprise, that person was starting barbing for the first time. So he was practicing on my head. I was complaining and he didn't even understand. And this is Abuja, not even maybe one local government there. He was actually learning barbing on my head. So I started complaining. Is that how you do that? Do you think I will ever come back? Why don't you go and start learning elsewhere and get it right before you start opening your shop? So when you are giving your SME support, please make sure that they have the skills. It's part of your responsibility. When they have the skills, now you give them the support. But when you give them the support without the orientation, without the skills, you are just putting your money in a soccer way. And mentorship and internship is also a very good opportunity. If at all we can change this formula to make it compulsory that you have to go and learn business before you are giving support for a business, then the mentorship and the internship will take us a long way, because people will really have the skills. Now we have, I'm sure all of you that you have families, you have houses, you will be complaining. Electricians, all technicians, plumbers and so on. When they come to work for you, mason and so on, when they come to work for you, sometimes you have to tell them how to do it. Because of what? Because they don't have the skill. They only got the tools and they decided to go to join the profession without the skills. And this is one of the reasons why we are really suffering. This slide is trying to remind us what happened in this country recently. For instance, the Northeast Transport Company. Who knows about it? Anyone among you? If you are around in the 70s, you must have known about this company. Northeast Transport Company. It is a transport company that is owned by the northeastern states. And from Maiduguri to Bauchi to Yola and anywhere, you pay a token if you are a citizen of this country. The company is no more. The company is no more. Now, every transport company, except the state government that have this mass transit, but every transport company is owned by individuals. But now, even if the time is over, we cannot go back to the 70s. What stopped us from having a rail line in that phenomena? What stopped the northeastern state from having a rail line for themselves, maybe from Bauchi or from Toro to Biu? And when you go to Biu, you can have one line that will go to Lake Chad, another one will go to Mubi across Cameroon, owned by the northeastern states. And especially the road networks are bad. Always, you are always on construction of roads. And every year you are on construction of roads and you don't have the roads. But when you have the rail line, now it is a promising revenue for all the states. And you can do that through PPP. You do not have to get money from the government to do that. You can also look for direct foreign intervention, that is DFI. Actually, the Chinese government that have money and do not know what to do is looking for countries to buy. Recently, they were successful in buying 1/3 of Mozambique. The whole 1/3 of Mozambique is owned by Chinese now. So if you ask them to come and build this rail line, they will do it. They are the ones building the one from Lagos to Kano and also Maiduguri to Port Harcourt. You can also use Sukuk. Sukuk is a recent development in this country, and people are looking for a way to invest, but it's filled up. So you can also use Sukuk. And now another thing is that when people of the southern Nigeria are agitating for restructuring, we only try to stop them from restructuring. We say it's not important or it's not essential. But we also have other things that we can advocate for restructuring. Part of it is that we will advocate for delisting. Because in Nigeria, there are exclusive lists that you cannot be allowed to invest into it, like the rail line. For instance, Dangote, as the richest African person, cannot come and start constructing a rail line from Gombe to Kano, because it is an exclusive ownership of the federal government. Now, this is one of the things that we can request for delisting, remove this thing, including power. Power also is also on the exclusive list. You cannot supply power even to your neighborhood, because it's the exclusive territory of the power holding company owned by the federal government. So we need to advocate for delisting this thing and make it liberal. This is part of the restructuring that we can do to move forward. Otherwise, we cannot have all these things. So now, I think we finish all the, what will I say now, the thought-provoking discussions. Let's have a little pause and think. And when you finish thinking, you tell me what you thought about. Anyone with anything to say or to contribute to this?
To what you just said, or to
From beginning to this is like half time.
Okay.
Yes, I can see your mouth opening, Safia.
As regards your analysis to especially the power sector and, the last comment you made there about, the federal government having exclusive rights to development of those sectors, are you suggesting a sort of a reduction in power in terms of some of these industries or sectors, so that we can now be open to more revenue from countries, so that private ownership, because there are a lot of people that would say that private ownership of all these things are also a problem.
Yeah, I can say yes. I'm suggesting that we have to deregulate them. Are they giving us what we want?
Right now,
No. So, but we can deregulate them. For instance, now if you deregulate railway, when you construct the line, like for instance, the railway that is just recently built between Kaduna and Abuja. Now, the federal government, I think the president went to commission the trains one day. I was asking myself, how on earth do we allow the president to come and commission only 2 trains? So, but if you look at it from the PPP point of view, you can ask the rich people around Kaduna, Abuja to buy the trains.
I have one more observation.
Okay.
The reason why I asked this sort of thing happened with the power holding company. And
It was not done objectively and in the interest of the public. It was done selfishly. As far as I'm concerned, that is not what we want. We have to get it right. We have to get it right and do it right before we move forward. Yes, I've forgotten your name, sorry. Remind me the name. I always want to interact with people that I can call their names. Muzammil, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the thought-provoking analysis. My observations is with the issue of structuring vis-a-vis the power sector. While I totally agree with you that the exclusive legislative bill is too chunk, to the extent that the federal government needs to do away with some of the items within that bill so that state can have control. But with respect to power and issue of water, I think it's interconnected with the issue of national security. Because assuming with our heterogeneous nature as a country, and you allow water to be controlled by some rich men, especially those who may acquire this wealth through power. You understand? You may decide to just put a drop of something and flip it. Measure as to how people get that control, the issue of power and water. Because our heterogeneous nature now can result to something else. And this is just my observation. My reservation.
But I want to put it to you that it is not a reservation, rather a fear that you are entertaining. It's a fear that you are entertaining. I had instances where I discussed so many things with so many people at different levels in this country, and this is what I always, you see, like the issue of maybe someone putting something, that someone can as well put it now. In fact, you are more at risk now. That someone can as well put it down. But let's look at it from the development point of view, that for efficiency, we have to go private. But when we are private, it doesn't mean that the government does not have a role to play. The government is there to control. You can remember maybe Jack Ma recently was nowhere to be found because of his siege with the government of China, the owner of Alibaba. You can also remember the Dangote, I cannot remember who is the Dangote type of Iran, was also sentenced to life imprisonment or condemnation because of a fraud he made, because during the sanction, he was the only person that is floating their oil outside and giving them the money. But they discovered that he is shortchanging them, and they sentenced him to death. You understand? So for you to do that, you need a government that is serious, that does not know nepotism, does not know nonsense. And you have to do it that way. If you go to Rwanda is one of the good models in Africa. The president does not know nonsense. The last citizen in the country can take his phone and call the president and complain to him about a general in the army and say he has done this and this. And within 1 minute, the president will swing into action. So you need leadership, a correct leadership to do that. We have to start from somewhere. You understand? We have the wherewithal to instigate this leadership if we want to get it done. So many countries, all the developed countries are actually living on private sector, including their healthcare and everything. But the government controls what happens. You understand? So the government is also part of quality assurance for the government to control what happens, because if I lack water, I don't know, maybe I have skipped one thing, the example with Gaborone. In Gaborone is in Botswana. It's a desert in Kalahari, in the middle of Kalahari Desert. The only source of water in Gaborone is 1,000 miles from the city of Gaborone, like from Lagos to Kano. But it's from there that they bring their water to Gaborone and the entire country. And if there will be a shortage of water, or maybe water for 1 minute, you understand, maybe a lack of water for 1 minute in a particular neighborhood, that particular neighborhood will be informed like 7 days before it happens, that on so day at so time there will be no water because we will be working on so and so lines. You understand? But these are managed by private sector. The Aga Khan Hospital I told you about, they are the ones who own 50% or 60% of the hydroelectric power of Uganda. They are the ones. It's a religious sect. Let me tell you this. It's a religious sect. It's a Shiite sect. And the country is, majority of them are Christians. But Aga Khan Foundation owns half of the country. But everything moves well. There are hospitals, there are universities, there are hydroelectric power. Everything moves well. So to tell you that even if you are talking about heterogeneity, it works better. It works better because when you fail to do it, the other party will take it over. So I'm answering your question by saying it is actually a myriad that we are thinking about. When we decide collectively as a country that this is the way we are going, then we will have to get the formulas to make it work. Now is because we have been blindfolded. That's why we always think about the other person. Muslims think that Christians are their enemies. Christians think that Muslims are their enemies. Within the Muslim fold, one sect is thinking that the other one is their enemy. Within the Christian fold, one sect is thinking that the other one is their enemy. But our enemy is actually elsewhere. Or we are the enemies of ourselves. Either of the two. So let us continue so that we'll not trouble the time. The half time is over. If you have questions, we'll get time later. Thank you.